Hey guys, this is Jay Calder with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Gennadiy Golovkin versus Ryoto Murata. And as always, this is just my personal take. Of course, your prediction can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. A little bit of fight info here. We have Golovkin versus Murata. This is taking place at the Super Arena in Saitama, Japan. Of course, airing on DAZN with Golovkin's IBF and Murata's WBA middleweight titles on the line. Now, one way or another, this fight became interesting over time. Initially, sort of pre-pandemic, this fight was rumored, and I sort of got the sense that Golovkin wanted a winnable fight against a fighter willing to engage, sort of a high-ranked fighter, but certainly not someone who I would have picked against Golovkin in his prime. Murata is decent, so it wouldn't have been an easy fight, but it surely would have been what you would consider winnable. However, after a postponement and the passing of more time, Golovkin is now a few days away from 40, while Murata is the younger, certainly fresher fighter with a lot less wars in him and could be catching Triple G at just the right time. It's kind of hard to say, but it makes for a much more interesting, compelling fight, so let's break this one down. For Golovkin to win, I think he needs to lead with that left-handed jab/hook, and that's a great shot that he likes to sort of hybrid in there, where he'll kind of lunge in a little bit with a nice little quick step, a jabbing step, and then throw that left hook, but also at times it's just worked as a really good power jab. He can mix that up really well, and I think that will actually lead to a great deal of success for him if he's able to get it going pretty consistently. If he's just throwing the jab, of course, he can always double it up and kind of really disguise it for when it is going to become a hook, but it ultimately over time is going to only lead to good things, especially against a slower footed and a slower handed Murata who might not be able to get out of the way of it. I would also say keep pressing Murata back, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that jab. Of course, the jab is going to push Murata back as well. The more he can get pressing on Murata, though, it's going to really do him wonders in this fight. He's just, Murata being he, is not a good enough fighter backing up, and if Golovkin, with his superior skills, with his superior foot movement and hand movement, can press him back, he's going to have him discombobulated. He's going to be able to really take advantage of those kinds of perks that he brings into this fight, and the more he presses him back, the more opportunity he'll have to do so. And for Golovkin, I would also say make sure to get your hands busier as the action picks up. I wouldn't say come out of the woodworks just completely all guns a-blazing, unless you know something that we don't know as Golovkin, that maybe you just don't have it in you anymore and you need to get this one over and taken care of as soon as possible. I would pace myself and kind of build into the fight. And as that's going, you should then be able to pick up your work rate and really start putting some more of that pressure on Murata. Again, if you can start jabbing him, backing him up, then start letting your hands go, it's just a nice little tale of how you can kind of get into this fight, really plant your feet, and then start letting some of those power shots go. But, getting into a sort of firefight with a guy that's a handful of years younger than you just doesn't sound like the greatest deal for the Kazakhstani fighter. Now, for Murata to win, I think you need to look to press forward. Murata's skills are going to be best displayed when he's coming forward. When he's trying to back away, it's just going to take away a lot of his advantages. He has longer arms than Golovkin. He has some decent reach in general. He has some decent pop in his hands. But if he's backing away, that naturally takes a few inches away from that reach as you're kind of, again, being a more negative fighter physically. And also, it just doesn't allow for you to generate the sort of power you're looking to generate. So you need to step into this fight. It's also going to help because you're pushing the older fighter back, and quite frankly, unless he's a defensive wizard, which Golovkin isn't, that's just not the direction he's looking to move. So naturally, that's how you're trying to press into this fight. I would also say put punches together. Your best offense and defense, if you're Murata, is putting punches together. Number one, it gives you the best chance of landing something meaningful, obviously, but it also means that you're not necessarily going to have to worry about punches coming back to you as much, especially, potentially, I should say, against an older fighter who might become a little more gun-shy, who might realize he doesn't love a taste of these kind of fights anymore and was just looking to come in and have more of his way. If you're able to engage with him as well, it kind of keeps his hands at bay, means you have less to worry about defensively, and of course means that you're offensively getting your best work in. And for Murata, I think that means getting those punches going. His longer hands and arms, I should say, would be able to reach out there more, keep Golovkin at bay, and really will allow for him to have some success on the night. And finally, I would say, and this is a pretty obvious one, but test the age of Golovkin. Tap him to the body, push him around, see if he wants this sort of fight. Part of that's going to mean you have to stay in this fight long enough to be able to do so, so you don't want to get caught by anything stupid. But at the same time, you're going to want to make sure that he knows he's in a fight. This is going to be a long, hard 12 rounds in a foreign land for him against a big, strong middleweight, and you have to make him feel that. And again, that means going to the body. That means roughing him up on the inside, doing the sort of things that make an older fighter say, I've had more than enough of this. And if you're able to do that, it could be what kind of leads to success for Murata if he's able to do it consistently. Now, in terms of my pick here, it's tempting to go with Murata here, but I think my pick has to be Golovkin. Sure, Golovkin is 40, so if he ends up losing this fight, I'm not going to be that surprised. Certainly not as surprised as the odds suggest I should be, which we'll get into. But to be fair, while 40 also rested. Yes, it's in Japan, and the decision could be perhaps tilted towards Murata, but Japan usually has decent scorecards, and to be honest, one way or the other, I don't see this going to the cards. I think Golovkin will perhaps take a round or two to get through the gears, as he's, again, an older fighter, and Murata will have some early success as a result of that. But the mistakes Murata makes of standing up too much with that chin up in the air will create openings. Openings, I think, Golovkin will take advantage of. Golovkin will warm up and begin landing bigger shots in the third, fourth, and fifth rounds or so, stunning Murata and backing him up. The momentum will continue to build for Golovkin from there. As he keeps backing Murata up, a big left hand will drop him in those middle rounds, and Murata will be able to beat the count, I do believe, but Golovkin will continue to unleash until the stoppage takes place. Golovkin via late fight stoppage, but it could be just a bit earlier. But I'll go with late stoppage. Now, in terms of those odds I was kind of referring to there, Golovkin is a pretty heavy favorite, especially considering it's on foreign soil for him at a minus 640, with Murata coming in at a plus 410. To be honest with you, even having picked Golovkin, those are relatively attractive odds for Murata. Again, he's younger, he has reach, he has pretty solid pop in his hands. He's also on home soil. Again, has Golovkin shown a weak chin? No. Has he won on foreign soil before? Yes, most of his fights, as a matter of fact. But it is one of those things where those are good enough odds you could potentially, at the age of 40, want to start taking those kind of we'll see bets against Golovkin because you just don't know. I probably wouldn't put too much money into it, but that's kind of where the odds sort of point to me. That seems like where there's the most value. I don't see a great deal of value in betting on a minus 640 favorite that also happens to be 40 years of age. Just not one of my favorite things to do, but take that kind of advice with a grain of salt, because this is a fairly interesting, unique fight with a couple of fighters who have some things they need to prove on the night. So we'll see how it goes. In any event, my prediction record heading into the weekend is 10-2-0 with 2 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts, predictions, bets, so on and so forth. What do you kind of think here? Did Golovkin kind of pick that more winnable fight and that's how it's going to transpire? Or is Murata picking Golovkin off at just the right time? Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section below. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. And you can email me at junboxing@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you there. Be sure to check out junboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more. Just updated that, so you can all check that out, of course. And of course, be sure to check out my Fighter Grade series, which will be coming back this week, later after the fights, of course, on Sunday. And as always, until next time.